The same regime that in Israel.
In the 1960s, there was a tremendous battle between President John F. Kennedy and the Israeli government headed by Ben-Gurion over this program. Ben-Gurion was determined to achieve nuclear weapons. Kennedy was equally determined to stop him.
I am absolutely convinced that John F. Kennedy is the last president of the United States to have honor, integrity, and courage. Not only was JFK fighting to halt the Israeli nuclear weapons program, he was insisting that Israel's nuclear power plant be inspected, something that has not been done to this day. He was also demanding that the American Zionist Council, since renamed AIPAC, be registered as a foreign agent. We see today the magnitude of his failure to achieve this goal by virtue of the fact that AIPAC virtually owns America's long-since prostituted politicians. And even more dangerous than JFK's immensely dangerous positions on these matters was his immaculate Executive Order 11110. This order effectively removed the unconstitutional powers of the Federal Reserve to issue debt-based Federal Reserve notes and gave that power back to the people by issuing non-debt silver-backed U.S. notes. When Americans finally learn their true history, they will understand the sublime beauty of John F. Kennedy's actions in his final months of life. Not only were his actions a thing of beauty, his words will likewise be seen among the greatest acts of patriotism in the history of the United States.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day.
The result was that Kennedy died, and he was replaced by Lyndon Johnson, a Zionist puppet who was completely controlled by the Zionist lobby on all Middle East issues. And Johnson turned around and essentially handed the Israelis their nuclear weapons.
It is hard to overestimate just how profound America changed when the patriot John F. Kennedy was replaced by one of the supreme American traitors in Lyndon Baines Johnson. Not only did Johnson bolster Israel's nuclear weapons program, he did not compel the American Zionist Council to register as a foreign agent. The end result of this is an American political system that is so corrupt that it would make a banana republic blush. As if this isn't bad enough, in June 1967, Johnson covered up the brutal Israeli attack on the USS Liberty, an attack that resulted in the murder of 34 American sailors as well as 171 casualties. While the attack was taking place, Johnson personally recalled air defenses for the Liberty with the following explanation, quote, "We are not going to embarrass an ally," end of quote. The Liberty incident was a classic false flag to be blamed on Egypt. Israel's intention was to suck American sons and daughters into an extremely dangerous war for Israel, this time against Egypt, a Soviet ally. This false flag nearly resulted in World War III by virtue of the fact that nuclear-armed Phantom jets were launched towards Cairo and were only recalled when it became clear that the Liberty was not going to sink and witnesses would live to tell the tale.
It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
Since then, the program which is somewhat shrouded in secrecy, it's a deniable program, but they don't deny it very seriously, has grown. Many estimates have about 400 Israeli nuclear weapons. And there are reports, unconfirmed by mainstream sources of course, that the Israelis actually have miniature nuclear weapons planted in cities in the West, and particularly in the United States. So this is the world's most dangerous nuclear program. Nuclear weapons are in the hands of terrorist madmen, and those are the terrorist madmen of the government of Tel Aviv.
Israel is the pirate country of the Anglo-Saxon Empire, so he's above the international law, and he must have all the things that are forbidden by the international law, including nuclear bomb when we forbid it for Iran and for a lot of other countries.
They're a very small country. They have no business running around with nuclear weapons any more than other countries that size do. But for some reason, they've been given a free pass. What is that reason? Some would say that they're a poor, persecuted minority that needs these weapons to defend themselves. That's the official line. But the reality is that this allegedly poor, persecuted minority runs the world. They are the people who control the biggest banks and corporations around the world, and they've turned Israel into an organized crime base for the board of the people that run the world. And therefore, they've got the right for nuclear weapons, and they can control all these international institutions and jam their nuclear weapons down the throat of the entire global community. It's an outrage.
Well, every candidate for Congress at that time had a pledge. They were given a pledge to sign. And I was new on the scene. And so the pledge had Jerusalem as the capital city, the military superiority of Israel.
American Congress people have to sign this pledge.
Yes, you sign the pledge. If you don't sign the pledge, you don't get money. So, for example, it was almost like water torture for me. My parents observed this. I would get a call, and the person on the other end of the phone would say, "I want to do a fundraiser for you." And then we would get into the planning. I would get really excited because, of course, you have to have money in order to run a campaign. And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the planning, they would say, "Did you sign the pledge?" And then I would say, "No, I didn't sign the pledge." And then my fundraiser would go kaput.
And Brian Gumbel says, "What are you talking about? You only get $3 billion. And I said, "Brian, that's only the foreign aid bill. Look at all the other trade compacts, economic assistance, military assistance. I'm saying this to you right now. Israel gets approximately $15 billion a year from the American taxpayers. That $15 billion is $30,000 for every man, woman, and child. And people in my district are losing their pension benefits."
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
What I am is an American. You see, I think America comes first. And we have a one-sided foreign policy in the Mideast. America is in danger if America doesn't take back the government without foreign influence.
And I do see a lot of old friends here. And I see a lot of new friends of Israel here as well. Democrats and Republicans alike.